explore electronics. In the previous video, we have already covered the topics console IO, reading and writing characters, reading and writing strings, and formatted console IO. So, we are going to learn concepts such as printf and scanf in this video. If we complete these two concepts, then the chapter 1 of module 2 will be completed. So, make sure you watch the video till the end. So, let's get started. So before going to that, make sure you have your notebook and pen ready as I will be telling. These key points will help you during your exams and serve as a quick revision keynote later. Okay, make sure to have your notebook and pen ready. Without delay, let's get started with this concept. First one is introduction. Means as I said, the concept we are going to cover today is printf and scanf. Then what does printf do? It performs output to the console, means it prints the output. Scanf, it is the function, it performs the formatted input from the keyboard. Both functions can handle all built-in data types and strings. They allow control over data is read and displayed. Okay, now let's get started with the printf function. First one. Okay, this is a prototype how we are going to declare the printf function, that is int printf constant char. It is a hashtag, means pointer one, and control string. Here it returns the number of characters printed or negative value on error. Control string includes text and format specifier. Format specifier start with percentage and determine how data is displayed. Means this is the symbol we are going to use for format specifier. With this, if we use here it is a dot and here it is also dot. It is a format specifier start with this percentage symbol, and if we write here D, means it is a data type, that is in data type. In same way, there are many data types, means we will use with the format specifier. We are going to see this in later of this section. Okay, then each specifier matches an argument in order. Next, here it is an example of printf statement. Here printf I like percentage C, percentage S, and here you can say C, and here very much. Very much. As I will be telling, percentage C is prints a single character. Okay, and character is represented using a single quotes. Please don't get confused here because every student will get confused here on the difference between character and string. Here, the character, it is a single unit of text and we use single quotes to mention character. But when we comes to string, it is collection of characters. Collection of characters is called as string and it is printed using a double quotes. Okay, take down this using a double quotes. So here also you can see here it is mentioned using a single quote. Then this is a percentage C. Means this is a character, a single unit of text. But here you can see the collection of characters. So here mentioned using percentage yes. Here percentage C is nothing but a character and percentage yes is nothing but a strings. Okay, this is an example of printf. If we run this program, we will get an output as C very much like this. Okay, I like C very much. This is an output we get. Now, this printf format specifiers. Here are some of example. Percentage A means hexadecimal float. Percentage A means hexadecimal float uppercase. Character and sing decimal integer. Scientific notation. Decimal floating point. And here it is a format specifier for shorter. Okay. And here are some more format specifiers, string of characters, unsigned decimal integer. Like this, we have many format specifier. Now let us see one by one with an example for each one. Okay, and the first one is printing characters and strings. Percentage C it is used to print an individual character, and percentage S is used to print a string. And here is an example. Printf character here slash n, it is used to go to next line. Slash n refers to next line. Okay. Next line. And the same here, percentage is hello, collection of characters. That is for printing characters and strings. And the next one is printing numbers. What format specifiers we use to print the numbers? Here it is a signed integer, unsigned integer, floating point number, scientific notation, and for chooses shorter and format. Here is a scientific notation form also. Here you can take down this. Percentage D automatically selects between percentage F and percentage E, and it displays shorter and thinner representation. Firstly, what it is in C, percentage G is like a format specifier used with functions like printf to print a variable of type like double or float. That's what here given as percentage F. Okay, and what it does then, it automatically prints the number either in a decimal format or in a scientific notation, whichever is shorter. Okay, it also removes trailing zeros also. Okay, here is an example code. Here you can see the use of percentage G. What output we will get? We will get an output. Here you can see this also, this type of output also, and like this also. This is an output of this program. It is just an example program. Okay. And the next one is printing octal and hexadecimal values. Percentage here unsigned octal representation and X it is unsigned hexadecimal lowercase. That's why we have used here lowercase alphabet and uppercase alphabet is used. Here it is unsigned hexadecimal. Okay, here it is an example. Firstly, octal is nothing but decimal value 0 to 8. Octa means what? It is meaning is 8 and here hexadecimal means here 0 to 16. 0 to 16. Okay, here hexadecimal values like ABCD will also come. I think you people are aware about it. Okay, here only you can see A, B, C. Okay, like this. 1 minute, let me erase this. Okay, and here is an example code. For loop we have used and printf. Here it is octal, unsigned hexadecimal and unsigned hexadecimal that is uppercase. And here we have to print numbers. Then at last return 0. Here you can see till 777, 1088, 109, 1199. Here this is an output for this program. Here it's just an example program. If in exam they have asked question like how we will be printing octal and hexadecimal values, explain with an program. Means you have to write this thing mainly and with an example you have to explain that question. Means answer that question. Okay. And then next one is displaying an address. If you want to display an address, then we will use percentage %p for that. This format specifier causes printf to display a machine address. Here is an example. Void, I have to print an address. So I will use percentage %p here and the ampersand sample and then return. And the next format specifier is percentage %n. Here it loads integer variable pointed to by its argument. Okay, with the number of characters output so far. Here is an example. Now you can see the pattern. Means I have explained some format specifiers, right? You can see the pattern here. What it will be like if we take one parameter, means a format specifier, there you will be seeing what the work it does on the definition part and example and output. For each format specifier, we are doing this. Okay, make sure you take this point and note down these things because it will be easier to you to remember in your exams. Here, here is an example. This is a test. Percentage n ampersand characters and output we will get as this is a test. Okay, with the number of characters output so far. Here you can see the output 4 also. We got an integer value too. This is what percentage in specifier does. And the next one is format modifiers. Format modifiers alters the meaning of format specifiers. You can specify here minimum field width, number of decimal places, and the left justification. Here is an example. Example printf percentage 10 f item. Here pads with spaces. I have included here. Here 010 f item. Here pads with zeros. Okay, this is an example for format modifiers. Now, this is an example for minimum field width example. Here you can see item percentage F. Here it is printed as it is like this. Double item. Here we have initialized the value, means item value, and we are modifying it one by one. And here I have taken like 10F/N. For that, we will get an output like this. And for here, percentage 012F, F is nothing but floating point, right? Then /n is equal to item because it has to print the value in next line. So for each line, we added here /n. Okay, 0 and 2. So 0 is added first, then 1, 0. Here you can count the number also. 12 digits are present. Okay, and this is an example for minimum field width. And the next one is the precision specifier. Here, the precision specifier follows the minimum field width. Okay, here the period is dot. It is followed by an integer. Meaning depends on data type, percentage F, E, and capital E. It is for number of decimal places, and G, both uppercase and lowercase represent number of significant digits, and yes, it is a maximum field length, truncates extra characters. Okay, integers means minimum digits, adds with leading zero. I've constrained and made it a simple points. And the same example is given here. For first printf statement, output, and for second printf statement, this is an output, and third printf, this is a sample test, this is an output. Okay, this is an example for precision. Here, justifying output. By default, output is right justified. Use this symbol, hyphen symbol after percentage for left justification. Here you can see an example. Here, right justified. I have mentioned the value. Then 100. Here you can see the output as 100. Here right justified. I did not mention anything over here. So by default I got right justified. But here I have mentioned, you can observe here hyphen. Right after the percentage symbol I have included hyphen symbol. So then it means it is a left justification. So I have got output like this. Okay. Handling other data types. Format modifiers for data types, data size, long. Here example, LU and LD, and H for short, L for long double. Okay, C99 version addition, HH adds means another data sizes, that is HH signed and unsigned charge, and for LL, that is long, I can also prefix floating point specifiers, and it has no effect in C99. L and H can modify percentage %n to point to long or shorter integers. This is about handling other data types. Here you can see the star hashtag modifiers. Here it ensures special formatting. It forces decimal point, and here is an example of that, like formatting, and it allows dynamic width and precision. Here you can see printf. I have included hashtag what, hashtag f, here width, precision, value. Okay, the printing f statement, and here is an example for that. In the example, it is mentioned how the hashtag is matched of its value. With this figure, we will get to know that is hashtag is 10, and here this points over to 4. And here the floating point value is 123.3 as it is a decimal value. This is how hashtag is matched to its value. And this is a overall summary, like what all the printf format specifiers are present. Percentage A, percentage C, all the things can be seen over here, and with the format means what does it stands for and how we will use it. With the format we can see here, right? With the format we can see here. Here it is a code and here it is a format. Here percentage means it prints a percentage sign. Prints P for displays a pointer. Percentage is a strings of characters. But while writing a program, we won't use this much of printf format specifiers. We frequently use some of the printing statements. Like for example, percentage C, percentage D, I, and F, and S, and P, and percentage M. These are like most frequently used format specifiers while writing a program, and remaining things are used but in a rare cases. Okay, and that's all about printf part. Now we will jump in into scanf part. Yes, scanf, it is a general purpose console input routine. It can read all built-in data types and automatically converts numbers into the proper internal format. It is much like reverse of printf. Okay, printf means it displays the data, right? Here it reads the data. Here the prototype, it's important to mention prototype in your exams. Okay, please take note of this. Int scanf constant char hashtag control string. This is a prototype of scanf, and scanf function, it returns the number of data items successfully assigned a value. If an error occurs, it returns EOF. EOF means it is nothing but end of file. I think I can write here end, please adjust, end of file. EOF full form. If an error occurs, scanf returns the value of EOF, that is end of file. Here, the control string determines how values are read into the variables pointed to in the argument list. Here, control string consists of three classification of characters, and the first one is format specifiers, white space characters, and non-white space characters. Now, one by one, we will go and understand what does it stands for and what work it does. Okay, and the first one is format specifier. Let us go to that. And here it's a format specifier. Here the input are preceded by a percentage sign and tells scanf what data type is to be read next. The code listed are shown here. This is a whole summary of format specifier of scanf. For scanf, in the previous slide you have seen for printf, and this is for scanf. And if the format specifiers are matched in order from left to right with the arguments in the argument list. The same thing, single character reads a single character. Here the difference is the printf statement, it just display, it prints the value or the data, but the scanf statements, it reads a value. So you can observe here, meaning in each line they have mentioned reads. The main purpose or motive of scanf is to read the data. That's why they have used all over here read. And you can look at it here, all the summary of scanf format specifiers. Next, to read an integer, use either percentage %d or percentage %i specifier, and to read for floating point number, we will use standard or scientific notation, that is percentage %e, percentage %f, or percentage %g. C99 also includes percentage %a, which reads floating point number, and scanf to read integers in either low octal or hexadecimal form. As I mentioned earlier, if it is capital X, that stands for uppercase. If it is low, then lowercase. Okay. And here it is a program example that reads an octal and hexadecimal number. This is for octal and this is for Excel. Sorry, hexadecimal number. Okay, to print or to read a value, a number, this is an example, program example. Okay, and then inputting unsigned integers. To input unsigned integers, we use percentage %u format specifiers. Okay, unsigned num scanf percentage %u and percent num. It what does it do? It reads an unsigned number and put its value into num. This is the work of percentage %u and reading individual character using scanf. How we are going to read individual character? Here you can see the example. But in the previous slide means we have explained that getchar. It's the derivative function. It is used to read individual character. You can also use scanf for this purpose and percentage %c like as format specifier. Okay, now let us see how percentage %c is used to read an individual character. Here scanf percentage %c percentage %c percentage %c. Now I can give a input value means it reads a and it reads a b value and this percentage is to read the C value. Here it returns with character X in A, a space in B, and character Y in C. Okay? The scanf function can be used to read a string from the input stream using %s format specifier. %s causes scanf to read characters until it encounters white space character. White space character means until it reads all whole string it reads. Okay, and the characters that are read are put into a character array pointed to by corresponding argument, and the result is null terminated. After reading all the characters, the result is null terminated. As it applies to scanf, a white space character is either a space, new line, tab, a vertical tab, or a form field. Unlike gets, which reads a string until enter is pressed, scanf reads a string until whitespace character is entered. Okay, the gets function we have to press means for each action we have to press the enter. But how the same way here the scanf it reads a string until white space is entered means it may be a space or new line or a tab or vertical tab form feed anything it comes until it reaches to that point it will be reading the string or a character will be goes on reading. This means that you can't use scanf to read a string like this is a text because the first space terminates the reading process. To see the effect of percentage %s specifier, try the program using a string hello there. Now let us understand with an example. Here you can see the program. Here I have declared the string value and the size is 80. Enter a string. Scanf percentages string means we have to enter a string and here is your string percentage yes str and returns 0. The program responds with only the yellow portion of the string. Okay, why? Because as the next character, the space, the character white space character comes, it stops the program there and we will get there only yellow as output. And the next is inputting an address. For this, we will use %p format specifier. It causes to read an address in the format defined by architecture of CPU. For example, this program inputs an address, then display what is at the memory address. Means here we will get the memory address value also as an output. Here enter an address, %p, and here p and %p. So one is for value and another one is for memory address where the value is stored. That is for inputting an address. And the percentage specifier in specifier here it instructs scanf to store the number of characters read from the input stream in the integer value pointed to by corresponding argument. This is a function of percentage in specifier. The scanf function supports general purpose format specifiers called a scanset. Here a scanset it defines a set of characters. It processes means it will input characters as long as those characters are part of set defined by the scanset. The characters read will be assigned to the character array that is pointed to by the scans corresponding argument. Okay, here you can see the example also. Here the beginning means before starting the square brackets, we are adding the percentage sign. That's what in the previous point I have given. Bracket must be prefixed by a percentage sign. Means it tells the scanner it reads only the characters that is X, Y, and Z. When you use a scanset, scanf continues to read characters and store them in a corresponding array until it encounters a character that is not in the scanset. Upon the return from scanf, this array will continue a null terminated string that consisting of the character that have been read. Fine. Now here is an example. Here you can see percentage. Before square bracket, they have used percentage symbol. String we have declared and string 2 also here declared, and here it is a scanf statement and here printf statement. This is the input. What I have typed 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, D type. For output, I have got as 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, D and P, Y, P, E. Fine. This is the output of this program. Here, because the T is not a part of scanset, scanf stops reading characters into the string when it encounters the T. So here the space have given. The remaining characters are put into string 2. We can specify an inverter set if the first character in the set is A. Here it instructs scanf to accept any character that is not defined by the scanset. Means if the character is not defined, we can use that too also. When we use this type, means this character in a function. In most implementation, you can specify a range using hyphen. Means a range means to means from this till this. We will mention in a sentence like from A to Z. Like that, it hyphen stands, we can assume that as 2. It mentions a range, percentage A to Z. It tells the scanf to accept characters A through Z. Okay, one important point to remember is that scan set is case sensitive. Means here the pronunciation remains the same, but it differs. Like it is uppercase and lowercase. Here A and this is also A. But these two are both are different for Scanset. That's what we will call it as case sensitive. If you want to scan both uppercase and lowercase, you must specify them individually. Okay. Next, here you can see about white space character and non-white space character. Here in white space character, it causes scanf to skip over one or more leading white space characters in an input string. Here it may be either space, tab, vertical tab, format, or new line. In control string, a scanf to read but not to store any number including zero whitespace characters up to the first non-whitespace characters. Okay, next comes non-whitespace character. Here, scanf to read and discard matching characters in the input string. Percentage D, percentage D. Here, it reads an integer, read, and discard a comma over here. As both are same, right? Percentage D, percentage D. So it discard a comma and then reads another string. This for non-whitespace character. And if the specified character is not found there, the scanf is terminated. If you want to read and discard the percentage sign, we will use percentage in the control string. And here you must Pass scanf address. Here scanf percentage the ampersand count. Here scanf percentage is string. Here you can see the two cases. Here, in first case, it reads an integer into the variable count and it uses the following scanf call. Here it reads the integer into the variable count. Percentage D is nothing but an integer value, right? But in this case, string is already a pointer, right? And it need not to be preceded by the ampersand operator. Means here you can see the like where we have to use ampersand and where we should not use that. That's that's why the heading is you must pass scanf address. Means for passing a values like integer, we will use the ampersand. As here str is itself a pointer, here no need to use ampersand symbol over here. Okay, that's what the meaning is. And scanf allows modification of format specifiers similar to printf. Maximum field length can be specified by placing an integer between percentage and format specifier, and here example is given. If the input is longer, the remaining characters stay in the input buffer, but for the next scanf call. If a space appears before reaching the limit, scanf stops reading that field. To read a long integer, use L before the specifier, and to read a short integer, use H before a specifier. Means here percentage D is in specifier, like integer. To read an integer value, we will use percentage D. But to read a long integer, if the value is too large, then we will use L after percentage. If it is short integer, we will use H before after percentage. Okay, these are used with DI, these things. And for floating point numbers, percentage F, percentage E, percentage G, store in float, and LF to store in double. And for uppercase L and lowercase f, it's stored in a long double. Here, the I modifier can also be used with C and S for wide characters. And C99 introduces two new modifiers. What is that? One is HH and LL. For unsigned and signed char, HH, and for long int, LL. Here, the scanset can also be modified with L for wide characters. Next is suppressing input, and this is the last concept. Here, you can tell scanf to read field but not assign it to any variable by preceding that field's format code with a percentage, means with an hashtag. Sorry, hashtag. For example, here it is given percentage D, percentage, hashtag C, percentage D. Here you could enter the coordinate pair 10, 10. The comma would be correctly read but not assign anything over there. Assignment separation is especially useful when you need to process only part of what is being entered. During that time, we will use suppressing input or else won't use much this kind of input while writing a program. Okay, that's about the scanf thing. Like you can see the pattern, what I have said. First one is we will mention the format specifiers, and the next thing is what function it does. If prototype syntax is there, we will write that. And next, with the program example, we are going to explain. Here, the format specifiers remain same for both the things, but the difference is in printf it displays, but in scanf it reads the data. Fine. This all about the printf and scanf. That's all for today's video. If you have any doubt, please drop in a comment box. I'll try to answer for those questions. And that's all for today's video. If you like this video, please share with your friends and like and subscribe to Explore Electronics YouTube channel. Keep coding, keep learning. Bye bye. Tata. Thanks for watching.